I greet you once again, my fellow countrymen and women. My name is Andrew Ajayi, the Radio Senator, the lead advocate, Foundation for Character Reformation and Integration in Nigeria. Our president, the 36 state governors, and the 774 local government chairmen have given one speech or the other as it concerns the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria. As a fellow citizen or countryman, I want to also give my own address. We are in a social democracy of people, not democracy of wickedness, because democracy is a human face system. What is democracy? It is government of the people, by the people, and for, mark that word, for the people. Democracy is not meant to kill the people. What is government? It is that apparatus to be filled by some men and women who are elected by the people to provide them with security and welfare. Nothing more, nothing less. The people is supreme in a democracy. Therefore, as we witness this COVID-19 situation in the country, where we are being asked as men and women of our country, society, to stay indoors and being locked down, I want to remind us that there is something the government is not doing, and they are not doing it well. And that is the fact that they are not providing the essential commodities like food and water in an arranged form that will enable the people to have hopes that their government is truly humanitarian and welfaristic in nature. Even God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, before he created man, he made sure that everything that man needed to sustain man is created in that great garden before he brought man and later his wife to join him to now control, so that they never felt hungry any day. Also, look at the story of Noah and the ark. That story tells you a lot. I will come to that shortly, but let me continue by saying that what sustains human beings made by God essentially on earth, in this case, the society, is food and water. In sickness, if you don't eat food and water or medicines as food and water, you will not be well and you will die, except by God's divine power intervention. You will not lose your life through that sickness. It is either he that is alive that eats food and drink water, or food and water keeps person's life alive, strong and healthy. So, at all times, and primarily too, no human being should be prevented or restricted to have access to food. Even when decisions to restrict people's movement is to be taken, the provision of food, water, and essential commodities is to first be worked out. Check and see the Bible story of Noah and the ark. Plenty food and water and essential commodities were loaded in the ark to sustain the people while the storm of seemingly unending rains lasted. So as a society and government, we should and must, in all circumstances that will warrant us to take any decision to restrict people as it is now in our country and possible future, you or those saddled at the helms of affairs provide for the sustenance of people. Any lockdown, restriction of people without food, water, and minimum essential commodity arrangement provision amounts to wickedness, insensitivity, and inhuman. For God's sake, as governments, ask people, members of society, fellow countrymen and women, boys and girls, old and young, to help by staying indoors so that the spread of the coronavirus will be contained. Much as that is good, I think without you providing for them, thinking of that first before taking those decisions of lockdown, shows that the government is not having human feelings and sensitivity and sympathy. Because politicians today could afford to store a lot of food in their homes. Even when it finishes, they still know how they can go about getting it. But what of that man or woman who is a meager salary earner, who will have to wait or go out on a daily basis before he or she can get food for himself, herself, and her family or his family? And we are locking down. What will they eat? It is true we have to be alive before we eat food. But it is also true that we must eat food to stay alive. That is why we ought to have planned early enough so that government does not present itself as being wicked and insensitive in the sight of citizens. Thank God for other countries of the world, including our fellow Africans, where some presidents have started taking food to even meet with their citizens, countrymen and women at home, because they know the relevance of such. Not to talk of the governments that gives money, physical cash of $1,000 and $850 to their citizens just to stay at home. What is wrong with my people in Nigeria? You mean we cannot think positively like this? But once it is time for politics, we can share rice, share beans, share clothes, share salt, and even share money. But at a time like this, when coronavirus is making everybody not to even be able to move, we didn't think that we should share all these things to keep body and soul moving so that people will love government. Let us think and have a character reformation. Also, at such a time, all citizens are to be catered for, both the rich and the poor, who are all under the government in the society. Various categories of people pay taxes. We are all taxpayers, so government should provide both for the rich and for the poor. That is the reason we have government. We have money as a country. Let no one tell me we don't have money. Since 1960 till today, how could we as a people have been selling crude oil and yet we are not able to provide for our tomorrow? Look at what coronavirus has come to expose us as a country. Even as states government, we have money. And as local government, we also have money. For God's sake, we have money. Transfer money to your citizens to buy food, water in an arranged market system, or you take this food and water item to them because they voted for you to be their servant, and you are to serve the people indeed. I always hear, think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. No. That is not a good statement. Even though I know we have to do for our country, which we have been doing for our country since 1960 till today. When will our country, through those that we have voted for as governments of the federal, state, and local government, do back to the people of Nigeria, so that Nigerians will say our government, well done. So please, let us make sure government that has been elected at the 3 tiers of government truly do well for the people in God's name. Furthermore, I also have experienced personally, and from the experiences of others that I bother to ask, to come to a very realization and sad conclusion that our traders, market men and women who are fellow citizens of this country are very greedy and selfish, as at every given situation, opportunity such as the one we go through now, are exploiting the people. And I call on them all to please stop the exploitation of their fellow brothers and sisters who come to buy from them in their shops and marketplaces. This is ungodly and wicked on the part of traders, market men and women in this country, which is not in line with, of course, religious or of their religion of Christianity, Islam, or even African traditional religion, which says, be your brother's keeper. I call on government to please monitor the prices of essential food and commodities in the society, especially when we have crisis situation like this coronavirus that is threatening to kill people. If fellow men and women who are traders don't desist from these exploitative tendencies, if you ask me, I will evoke the spirit of coronavirus to be chasing you up and down, even in your sleep in the house, till you stop. If not, I will tell the coronavirus to infect you and your family. And also, importantly, the coronavirus pandemic in the world that Nigeria is also experiencing exposes the incapacities and inadequacies of our social health care as a people. No one can travel to anywhere now outside Nigeria for health care. No one saw this coming as a nation, as nations of the world close their borders. Land closes their borders, both land, sea, and air, to others not to come in. Wow. But it is good to serve as a lesson to nations, including my Nigeria. How could we have been a people that have government since 1960 till today? This government failed to invest in our collective health care as Nigerians. Wow. So sad. Sad indeed. What have they done with the monies? Embezzlement all over the place. It is so sad. At least I am happy that big men, big women, big politicians cannot fly out of this country anymore, because we are all going to be in Nigeria together. And I am thinking that a word is enough for the wise, that henceforth we should use our resources, our money, to start to build modern state-of-the-art hospitals, and also equipping these hospitals with state-of-the-art all manners of equipment that will save the Nigerian life anytime he or she is sick, that we don't have to go out to foreign lands. Wow, it is well with our country. And also at this time as well, can I call on non-governmental organizations, private individuals, and religious bodies and companies to say it is time to give back to the society. Don't give back to the society because government is calling you, because it is actually the primary responsibility of government to provide for all of us. But maybe because you are a God-fearing and good conscience person, you can bring some support according to how you have it that God has given to you to support government. But if government is calling on you, don't listen to government, because all government have done in time past is nothing more than to squander our collective resources. Some persons have said, if indeed you gained independence since over 50 years ago and you are not able to cater for your citizens and provide good health care and necessary minimum support for your people, are you a government? Are you a good people? Of course, the answer is no. And once these resources are contributed by non-governmental organizations that I have mentioned above, please let government be transparent with it and spend this money adequately so that in the future, when called upon, they will do more. Especially our churches. It is also time. Our mosque is also time that you bring out of the plenty resources that your members have contributed over time to begin to support your members' welfare. If not, you are fraudulent religious people. You can't continue to collect. There must be a time for you to give back. And that giving back, as far as I'm concerned, should now be always. Because when you look at the money in the church, you look at the money in the mosque, the religious bodies, the question is, what do they really do with these church monies? They operate as if they are companies, and you don't give your members shares, dividends for the shares that they have contributed into this your establishment. As all we see among religious bodies, especially the founders and the so-called owners of churches, whereas they are not the owner, the members own the religious bodies because they sustain these religious bodies with their collective daily, weekly, monthly contribution. Tithes, zakat, offering, and what have you. But because you are the founder of the church, you think you can buy private jets, you can buy all manners of cars, build schools that your members cannot even put their people. They cannot even send their people into. God is not happy with you. I am not judging you. I am a Christian. I am a religious person. And I know that, sincerely speaking, this is a shortcoming on the part of religious bodies in Nigeria. Look at the history of missionaries when they came to Africa and Nigeria. Look at what they did and take a cue from it. And I know as we do all this, God will truly bless our country. It is because I am in love with my country, Nigeria. That is why I painstakingly talk like this. I want to see government as a matter of fact in the few days from now to start transferring money to people via their available account as citizens. This is the only time you can touch your citizens. The palliative to be given to bank and small businesses does not affect the common man on the streets. It is still the big people you are still giving that money. Please make sure you provide for the welfare of the common Nigerians, everybody.